Captain Jake Morrison walked through the long hallway that led to the biggest meeting room he had ever seen. The walls were made of some kind of crystal that changed colors as he moved. Purple, then blue, then green. It made him feel dizzy if he looked too long. His black uniform was perfect. Every button shined. Every crease was sharp. He had spent 3 hours getting ready this morning. This was the most important day in human history, and he wanted to look right for it. Ambassador Lisa Kane walked next to him. She carried a small computer in her hands and kept checking it every few seconds. Her face looked worried. Jake could see tiny drops of sweat on her forehead, even though the hallway was cool. "Remember what we talked about," she whispered to him. "They think we are a peaceful people. Our reports show that we do not fight wars anymore. We need them to believe this." Jake nodded, but did not say anything. Behind them walked 6 other humans, scientists, diplomats, and 1 more military officer. All of them looked nervous except Jake. He had been in dangerous places before. This was just another mission, that the doors in front of them were huge. They had to be 30 feet tall. As they got closer, the doors made a soft hissing sound and opened by themselves. Cool air rushed out, carrying strange smells that Jake could not identify. Inside was the biggest room Jake had ever seen. It was shaped like half of a circle. Seats rose up in rows like a sports stadium, but these seats held creatures that looked nothing like humans. Some had tentacles instead of arms. Others looked like giant insects. A few seemed to be made of living metal dot. In the center of the room sat the most important aliens. Jake recognized them from the pictures he had studied. The one in the middle was High Counselor Vixtara. It looked like a giant octopus that had learned to sit upright. Its skin was dark purple and covered in spots that glowed softly. To the right sat Counselor Mordak. Jake had to stop himself from staring. Mordak looked like a praying mantis the size of a car. Its eyes were huge and made up of thousands of tiny parts. When it moved its head, Jake could hear clicking sounds. On the left was Counselor Silthick. This one looked like a snake that someone had taught to wear clothes. It was bright green with yellow stripes, and it was at least 12 feet long. When it breathed, Jake could see fangs. Vistara raised what Jake guessed was its hand. The tentacles curled in a way that seemed friendly, but Jake was not sure. "Humans of Earth," Vexthara said. Its voice came from speakers hidden around the room, because Jake was sure nothing with tentacles could make sounds like that. "Your people interest us. The papers you sent say that you have stopped fighting wars. This is strange for a people who want to join our group." Lisa stepped forward. She had practiced this speech 100 times. "Great counselors, humanity has learned that peace is better than war. We have grown past our violent history." The room filled with sounds that Jake realized was alien laughter. Different species made different noises. Some buzzed, some clicked. Some made sounds like steam escaping from a pipe. But they were all laughing. Mordek's huge insect head turned toward them. When it spoke, its voice sounded like metal scraping against metal. "Our studies of human culture show deep fear of fighting. Your movies and books talk about peace. Your governments always try to talk instead of fight. You do not have the warrior spirit needed to be citizens of the galaxy." Jake felt his hands form fists, but he kept them at his sides. He had been told not to speak unless asked a direct question. Lisa tried again. "Honorable counselors, humanity believes that talking is better than fighting. We have learned from our mistakes." More laughter. This time it was louder and lasted longer. Silthick uncoiled part of its long body and leaned forward. When it spoke, its voice was like a whisper that somehow filled the whole room. "Fear. Your entire species smells of it. Fear of dying. Fear. of pain, fear of losing what you have. How could such creatures ever stand with real warriors when the galaxy faces danger? Other counselors began to speak. Jake listened as they listed everything they thought was wrong with humans. They talked about human governments that tried to avoid war. They mentioned human charities that helped people instead of making weapons. They laughed about how humans had not built big war fleets to explore space. "Look at their representative," said a counselor that looked like a walking tree. "One soldier and a group of talkers. Where are their generals? Where are their war chiefs?" Jake wanted to tell them that Earth's greatest generals were back home, planning defenses and training soldiers. He wanted to explain that the peaceful humans they saw were just one part of humanity. But his orders were clear. Say nothing. Vexthar raised its tentacles again, and the room became quiet. "We will think about your request to join us. But understand this truth. The galaxy is not safe for the weak. Maybe you should stay in your small part of space, where your gentleness will not get you killed." The meeting was over. Guards that looked like robots led the human group out of the chamber. As they walked back through the crystal hallway, Jake could hear the aliens still talking and laughing behind them. Lisa looked defeated. Her computer shook in her hands. "That went worse than our worst projections," she whispered. Jake did not answer right away. He was thinking about something Vexthera had said. The galaxy was not safe for the weak. The alien thought humans were weak because they chose peace over war. As they reached their ship, Jake finally spoke. "They think we are afraid to fight." "We are supposed to be afraid to fight," Lisa replied. "That was our entire strategy." Jake looked back at the crystal building where the council met. "What happens when they find out we are not afraid?" "What happens when they learn we just choose not to fight?" Lisa stopped walking. "What do you mean?" "I mean," Jake said slowly, "what happens when something forces us to stop choosing peace?" None of them knew that in 3 months they would have their answer. None of them knew that an enemy was already moving toward human space. An enemy that would force humanity to show the galaxy what they really were when pushed too far. The council thought they had met a weak species that day. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Commander Alex Rivera was drinking his morning coffee when the emergency alarm started screaming through his ship. He put down his cup so fast that coffee splashed across his desk. The sound meant only one thing. Someone was in serious trouble. Alex ran to the bridge of his ship, Earth's Pride. His crew was already at their stations, fingers flying over computer screens. The main display showed a map of human space with red dots blinking in several places. "What do we have?" Alex asked as he dropped into his captain's chair. Lieutenant Nancy Wright turned from her communication station. Her face was pale. "Commander, we have lost contact with 3 colonies. New Geneva went dark 4 days ago. Port Liberty stopped answering yesterday. Cedar Falls went silent this morning." Alex studied the map. The 3 colonies were in different star systems, but they were all on the edge of human space. Equipment. Problems? Solar storms? Chief Engineer Bobby Clark shook his head. His hands were still dirty from working on the engines, but he had come to the bridge as soon as he heard the alarm. "Sir, I checked all the records. No storms in those areas. No equipment failures scheduled. These colonies just stopped talking to us." Nancy pressed something on her screen. "Commander, I am getting a signal from Frontier Station 12. It is a general emergency call. Put it on the main screen." The map disappeared. In its place appeared a man sitting in what looked like a control room. Smoke filled the air behind him. Sparks flew from broken computers. The man's clothes were torn, and Alex could see blood on his face. "This is Director Paul Adams of Frontier Station 12, the man said. He kept looking over his shoulder like he expected something terrible to come through the door. "We are under attack by ships we have never seen before. They do not answer when we try to talk to them. They just attack everything. Paul ducked as something exploded behind him. When he looked back at the camera, his eyes were wide with fear. They are destroying our cities. They are burning our farms. They are even attacking civilian ships trying to escape. Nothing is safe from them. The image shook as the station was hit by weapons fire. Paul grabbed his desk to keep from falling. These ships are different from anything in the Council database. They look like they are alive. Our weapons barely hurt them. They are taking our people, taking them alive. Another explosion. This one was closer. Paul looked directly into the camera. If anyone gets this message, stay away from the outer colonies. These things are not here to talk. They are here to kill and take. They are here to... The screen went black. Alex stared at the empty screen for a long moment. His crew was silent. Finally, he turned to Bobby. How many people live in those 3 colonies? Bobby checked his computer. New Geneva has 800,000 people. Port Liberty has about 600,000. Cedar Falls is smaller, maybe 400,000. Almost 2 million people, Alex whispered. Nancy's voice was shaky. Commander, I am receiving more emergency signals. 5 more colonies are reporting attacks. Alex felt something cold settle. In his stomach, this was not a simple raid or accident. Someone was attacking human space in a coordinated way. Someone was killing human civilians. Right. Get me Admiral Patricia Hayes at Earth Defense Command, Priority 1. Sir, that will take several hours to reach Earth. Then start the transmission now. Clark, I want every human ship in this sector recalled immediately. Every exploration ship, every cargo hauler, every research vessel. His first officer, Lieutenant Commander Frank Sullivan, looked confused. What about our current mission? We are supposed to be mapping the Kepler system. Alex turned to face him. Frank was a good officer, but he was young. He had never seen real combat. Frank, mapping can wait. People are dying. Should we contact the Council? Frank asked. Request help through the proper channels? Alex almost laughed, but there was no humor in it. The Council thinks we are too weak to fight, Frank. They think we are afraid of everything. You think they will rush to help us? More signals came in over the next hour. Colony after colony reported the same thing. Strange ships that looked alive. Weapons that cut through human defenses like they were made of paper. People being taken alive for unknown reasons. Alex called his senior officers to a meeting in the small conference room behind the bridge. The room was cramped, but it was private. What they needed to discuss was not for the younger crew members to hear. How bad is it? Asked Dr. Helen Martinez, the ship's medical officer. Nancy had been collecting reports all morning. 12 colonies confirmed under attack. 7 more have gone completely silent. We are looking at maybe 5 million people in immediate danger. Bobby leaned back in his chair. What kind of ships can shrug off our defensive weapons? The kind we have never fought before, Alex replied. Paul Adams said they looked alive. Bioships, maybe. Grown instead of built. Frank looked around the table. So what do? We are just one ship. Alex was quiet for a moment. He was thinking about his conversation with Captain Jake Morrison after the council meeting. Jake had wondered what would happen if something forced humans to stop choosing peace. Alex was starting to think they were about to find out. We go to the outer colonies, Alex said finally. We find out what these things are and what they want. And if they attack us? Helen asked. Alex's smile was not friendly. Then we show them that humans might choose peace, but we are very good at war when we have to be. The ship changed course toward the outer colonies. None of them knew they were about to meet the Devourers, a species that had eaten 17 different civilizations. Before deciding humans looked tasty, None of them knew that humanity was about to face its first real test since joining the galactic community. But Alex was starting to suspect that the test would not be whether humans could survive. The test would be whether the galaxy could survive. What humans became when their people were threatened. Earth's pride flew toward the danger, and behind it, other human ships were already changing course to follow. Admiral Patricia Hayes stood in the deepest part of the mountain base on Earth. The room around her was filled with computers and screens that showed maps of human space. Red lights blinked everywhere, each one marking a colony that was under. Attackor had gone silent. She had been awake for 36 hours straight. Her gray hair was pulled back tight, and her uniform was wrinkled, but her eyes were sharp and focused. This was what she had trained for her entire life. "Give me the numbers," she said to the people around the big table. General Raymond Brooks opened a folder filled with reports. He was a big man with scars on his hands from his time as a young soldier. 18 colonies completely destroyed. 23 more under attack. We estimate 7 million civilians dead or missing. Secretary of Defense Mary Kim sat across from him. She looked sick. The attacks are getting worse. These creatures are not just killing people. They are taking them alive. Our scientists think they are being used as food. Admiral Hayes studied. The big map on the wall. The red dots showed a clear pattern. The attackers were moving toward the inner colonies, toward Earth itself. What do we know about these ships? Colonel Eric Stone had just returned from the outer colonies. His uniform was torn, and he had bandages on his left arm. "They are alive, Admiral. Bioships grown instead of built. Our regular weapons barely scratch them. They heal damage faster than we can cause it. How many ships are we talking about?" "At least 300 that we have seen. Maybe more. They move in groups of 20 or 30. They hit fast and hard, then move to the next target." Mary leaned forward. "What about the Council? Have they responded to our requests for help?" Eric's laugh was bitter. "They offered to consider our request after they finish their regular meeting schedule. That means 6 months minimum." The room fell silent, except for the humming of computers. Admiral Hayes walked to the big map and stared at it. She had spent 40 years in the military. She had fought in 3 wars that most people did not even know about. She had seen what humans could do when they were truly angry. "They think we are weak," she said quietly. General Brooks nodded. "Counselor Vexthara told our delegation that we were too gentle for galactic citizenship. Said we were afraid of everything." Admiral Hayes turned to face the room. "Raymond, do you remember the Titan Rebellion?" "Of course. We put that down in 6 weeks." "What about the Martian Independence War?" 8 months. Complete victory." "The asteroid pirates?" 3 months. "We hunted down every last ship." Admiral Hayes looked around the table. Every person there had fought in battles that the civilian government preferred to forget. Wars that had been won so completely that most humans did not even know they had happened. "We let the galaxy see what they wanted to see," she said. "Peaceful. Humans who had grown beyond war. Diplomats who preferred talking to fighting. Scientists who built hospitals instead of weapons." She walked back to her chair, but did not sit down. What we did not show them was the other side of humanity. The side that wins wars so completely that the enemy stops existing. Colonel Stone understood first. "You want to activate the war protocols, all of them. Every protocol we created during the darkest times of human history." Mary looked confused. "Patricia, those protocols were designed for wars between human nations. Are you sure they will work against aliens?" Admiral Hayes smiled, and it was not a nice smile. "Mary, we designed those protocols to fight against the most dangerous enemy in the galaxy, ourselves. I think they will work just fine against anyone else." She activated a secure communication channel that had not been used in over a century. Her voice carried to every military base, every reserve unit, every veteran who had put away their uniform, thinking humanity's fighting days were over. This is Admiral Patricia Hayes, Earth Defense Command. Authorization code Alpha 77. All units, all branches, all reserves are hereby activated under War Powers Protocol Omega. Across the solar system, things began to change. On Earth, factories that had been making civilian goods for decades started retooling. The machines that built farming equipment began building weapons instead. The shipyards that made exploration. Vessels started producing something very different. On Mars, the mining operations that dug for minerals suddenly had a new purpose. The giant machines that carved tunnels through rock were loaded onto ships. On the Moon, research stations that studied peaceful sciences were converted into weapons laboratories. Brooks watched the reports come in. Patricia, this is going to change everything. Once we do this, the galaxy will never see us the same way again. Admiral Hayes nodded. Good. Maybe then they will stop making the mistake of thinking that choosing peace means being unable to fight. Colonel Stone was reading updates on his computer. Admiral, the outer colonies are reporting something strange. Civilian ships are not running away from the fighting. They are joining it. What do you mean? Cargo haulers are ramming the bioships. Mining vessels are using their equipment as weapons. Even passenger ships are fighting back. Admiral Hayes was not surprised. Eric, do you know what the difference is between humans and every other species in the galaxy? No, ma'am. Every other species became civilized by learning not to fight. Humans became civilized by learning how to fight better. More reports came in over the next few hours. The transformation of human space was happening faster than anyone had expected. Ships that looked like simple cargo vessels revealed hidden weapons. Colonies that seemed defenseless activated security systems that had been disguised as civilian infrastructure. But the most important change was in the humans themselves. The fear that had been in their voices during the first attacks was gone. In its place was something that made Admiral Hayes proud and worried at the same time. It was anger. Cold, focused, deadly anger. Ma'am, Colonel Stone reported, Commander Rivera is requesting permission to engage the enemy with full military protocols. Admiral Hayes looked at the map one more time. The red dots were still spreading, but now blue dots were appearing as human forces moved to intercept them. Permission granted? And Eric? Send a message to the Council. Tell them that humanity thanks them for their offer of assistance. But we have decided to handle this ourselves. What if they ask why? Admiral Hayes smiled again. Tell them they were right about one thing. Humans do fear war. We fear it so much that we became very good at ending wars quickly. The galaxy was about to learn the difference between those who could not fight and those who simply chose not to. High Counselor Vexthara was eating his morning meal when the first reports arrived. The food turned to ash in his mouth as he read the intelligence data. His tentacles started shaking, and the plate fell to the floor with a crash. He called an emergency meeting of the Council. Within 2 hours, all the major species leaders were gathered in the crystal chamber. But today, the atmosphere was very different from the day they had laughed at the human delegation. Show them what we have learned, Vexthara said to Commander. Zixtal, the Council's military intelligence officer, Zixtal activated the main display. Images filled the air above them. Images that none of the Council members could believe. Honored Counselors, Zixtal began. 3 days ago, we detected the first human military response to the Devourer attacks. The first image showed a human colony called Ridge Station. The Devourers had attacked it with 40 bioships, expecting an easy victory like all their previous raids. Instead, they found something that shocked them. The humans turned their mining equipment into weapons. Zixtal explained. Machines designed to cut through asteroids were used to slice apart bioships. Construction robots became assault units. Even their civilian population joined the fight. Counselor Mordock clicked his mandibles nervously. Impossible. Our intelligence said they were a peaceful species, afraid of conflict. Watch this section. Zixtal highlighted part of the battle recording. The display showed a human in military uniform directing the colony's defense. His name tag read Colonel Dan Murphy. He was calm and focused as he coordinated attacks that should have been impossible. The colonel was using farming equipment as artillery. Vehicles designed to plant crops were firing explosive rounds at the bioships. Even stranger, it was working. The Devourers were taking heavy damage. This cannot be accurate, hissed Counselor Silthick. The humans we met were diplomats and scientists. Where did these warriors come from? That is not the strangest part, Zixtal continued. Watch what happens next. The recording showed more human ships arriving. But these were not the exploration vessels in the Council database. These were warships. Real warships with weapons that made the bioships look like toys. A ship called the UES Hammer opened fire on the Devourer fleet. The energy beams cut through bio-armor like it was paper. In less than 10 minutes, 40 Devourer ships were destroyed. Where did that ship come from? Demanded Mordock. We have detailed records of human space construction. They build cargo, haulers and research vessels, not warships. Zixtal switched to another image. This one showed Earth's solar system. But it looked nothing like the Council's previous intelligence reports. It appears that the humans have been hiding their true capabilities, Zixtal said quietly. These orbital platforms that we thought were civilian shipyards are actually military construction facilities. The cargo ships we have been tracking are actually troop transports. More images appeared. Weapons factories disguised as food processing. Plants. Military training centers that looked like universities. Research facilities that had been developing war technology while pretending to study peaceful sciences. They lied to us, whispered a counselor from the Crystal Hegemony. No, Vexthara said slowly. I do not think they lied. I think they simply chose not to show us this side of their nature. Zixtal brought up more battle recordings. The humans were not just fighting the Devourers. They were hunting them. Ships that had seemed like simple miners were revealed to be fast attack vessels. Colonies that appeared defenseless had military systems that could destroy entire fleets. Look. At this engagement near the Proxima colonies, Zixtal said, the recording showed a human captain named Tony Rodriguez, commanding what looked like a converted cargo ship. But when the Devourers attacked, the ship transformed. Hidden weapons emerged from fake cargo bays. The hull itself seemed to change shape. Captain Rodriguez destroyed 15 bioships before the rest of the Devourer fleet retreated. He did it with a ship that the Council had classified as civilian transport vessel. How many ships like this do they have? Asked Mordock. We are still counting, Zixtal replied. But early estimates suggest hundreds, maybe thousands. The chamber fell. Silent. Every counselor was thinking the same thing. They had not encountered a weak species seeking protection. They had encountered predators who had been pretending to be prey. There is more, Zixtal continued. The humans have been sharing tactical information with some of our member species. The Altarians have requested permission to use human battle strategies. The Centauri Federation wants to buy human weapons. Counselor Silthick uncoiled her long body. What are you saying? I am saying that in less than a week, the humans have gone from being dismissed as weaklings to being seen as the galaxy's most effective military force. Vexthara activated his personal communicator. Get me Admiral Patricia Hayes of Earth Defense Command. Emergency priority. The wait seemed to last forever. When Admiral Hayes appeared on the screen, She looked tired, but satisfied. Behind her, Vexthara could see displays showing dozens of successful human victories. "Counselor Vexthara," Admiral Hayes said. Her voice was polite, but cold. "What can I do for you?" "Admiral, the Council formally requests permission to assist in your fight against the Devourers." Admiral Hayes raised an eyebrow. "I thought my species was too weak for galactic citizenship." The words hit Vexthara like a physical blow. He remembered saying exactly that just months ago. "We were wrong, Admiral. Completely and dangerously wrong." "Wrong about what?" "We thought your preference for peace meant you were unable to wage war. We now understand that you choose diplomacy because you know the true cost of violence." Admiral Hayes nodded slowly. "And what would you like from us, Counselor?" "We would like the Council fleet to serve under human command in the final battle against the Devourers." The request hung in the air. A few months ago, the Council had laughed at human weakness. Now they were asking to follow human leadership in battle. "Very well," Admiral Hayes said. "But understand this, Counselor. We fight this war the human way, total victory or total defeat. No half measures." "Agreed." When the communication ended, the council chamber was quiet for a long time. Finally, Mordak spoke. "How did we make such a terrible mistake?" Vexthara looked at the displays, still showing human military victories. "We assumed that because they were gentle, they were weak. We forgot that the most dangerous predators are often the most controlled ones." The council had learned their lesson, but it might already be too late. The humans were no longer hiding what they were, and the galaxy would never be the same. Admiral Patricia Hayes stood on the bridge of the U.E.'s Retribution, the most powerful warship humanity had ever built. Through the big windows, she could see the combined fleet stretching out into space. Human ships, council ships, and vessels. From 6 different alien species all flying together, but everyone knew who was really in charge. The alien ships followed human battle plans. They used human tactics. They even painted human symbols on their hulls to show they were part of the human fleet. "Admiral," Captain Roy Barnes called from his station. "Long-range sensors show the main Devourer fleet approaching the Kepler system. 300 bioships, just like intelligence predicted." Admiral Hayes nodded. The Devourers had finally decided to make their big push toward human space. They probably thought they were still fighting the same weak species they had been killing. For weeks, they were about to learn how wrong they were. "What is our fleet strength?" she asked. 200 human ships, 50 council vessels, and about 30 ships from the allied species. Total of 280 ships. The numbers were close, but Admiral Hayes was not worried about being outnumbered. The Devourers had never faced organized resistance before. They had always fought against scattered defenses and panicked civilians. Today they would fight against the combined military might of 7 different species, all using strategies developed by humans. "All ships, this is Admiral Hayes." She spoke into the communication system that connected every vessel in the fleet. "Today, we end the Devourer threat once and for all. But more than that, today the galaxy learns what humans are truly capable of when we stop pretending to be what others want us to be." She paused, looking out at the stars where the enemy fleet was approaching. "For too long, people have thought that our desire for peace made us weak. They thought that because we choose diplomacy, we cannot fight. Today, we show them the truth. We are not gentle because we are weak. We are gentle because we are strong. Enough to choose to be." The first phase of the battle began exactly as Admiral Hayes had planned. Captain Barry Mitchell led the human fighter squadrons in attacks that confused the bioships. The Devourers had never fought against coordinated tactics before. Their organic minds could not understand how the humans predicted their movements. "Commander, Julia Thompson commanded the destroyer group that used human mathematics to calculate exactly where the bioships would be. The alien vessels tried to adapt, but human planning was faster than biological evolution. The bioships fought back with everything they had. Their living weapons fired streams of acid that could melt metal. Their hulls healed damage almost as fast as it was caused. But for every advantage they had, the humans had found a counter. Captain Lisa Wells commanded a group of ships that fired special ammunition designed by human scientists. The rounds were not meant to destroy the bioships. Instead, they delivered a poison that stopped the ships from healing themselves. Major Kevin Ross led boarding parties that attacked the bioships from inside. His soldiers wore armor that protected them from the acid weapons. They carried guns that fired bullets designed to kill living tissue. But the real surprise came when the Devourer fleet tried to retreat. They had never needed to run away before. They did not know how to do it properly. Admiral Hayes had predicted this. She had positioned ships at every escape route. When the bioships tried to flee, they found human vessels waiting for them. "This is Admiral Hayes to all ships," she announced. "Begin final phase. No survivors." The last part of the battle was not really a battle at all. It was an execution. The human fleet hunted down every single bioship. They destroyed each one completely, making sure that none could escape to attack other species. When the last Devourer ship died, Admiral Hayes opened a communication channel to the entire galaxy. Her message would be received on every world, by every species, in every corner of known space. "This is Admiral Patricia Hayes, commanding the Human Defense Fleet," she began. "The Devourer threat has been eliminated. Every ship destroyed. Every creature killed. The species that consumed 17 civilizations is now extinct." She looked directly into the camera, her eyes hard and cold. "To those species who offered to help us, humanity thanks you. Your ships fought bravely alongside ours. You have proven yourselves to be true friends." Her expression changed. Now she looked like a predator that had just finished hunting. "To those who thought we were weak, you now understand your mistake. Humanity seeks peace because we understand the true cost of war. We choose talking over fighting because we know what violence really means." She paused, letting her words sink in across the galaxy. "But never mistake our choice for peace as being unable to wage war. We are not gentle because we are weak. We are gentle because we are strong enough to choose to be." The transmission continued. "The Devourers made the mistake of thinking that, because we prefer peace, we could not fight. They are now extinct because of that mistake. Learn from their error." Admiral Hayes ended the transmission and turned back to her crew. Around her, the fleet was already beginning to disperse. The human ships would return to their disguised roles as civilian vessels. The weapons would be hidden again. The military bases would go back to looking like research stations. Within months, human space looked peaceful again. Exploration ships mapped new systems. Cargo vessels carried trade goods. Scientists studied alien cultures and shared their knowledge freely. But every species in the galaxy now knew the truth. The gentle humans who offered medical aid and disaster relief were the same humans who had completely destroyed the most dangerous enemy the galaxy had ever known. The Council offered humanity full membership with all privileges and honors. They did this not because they felt sorry for a weak species, but because they respected a strong one that chose restraint over domination. Humanity accepted the membership and continued their peaceful ways. They built hospitals on alien worlds. They shared technology that helped other species. They offered aid to anyone who needed it. But the galaxy never again made the mistake of thinking human kindness meant human weakness. They had learned that humans feared war so much they had become the best at ending wars quickly and completely. The Council had been right about one thing. Humans did fear war. They feared it enough to make sure they never had to fight one again.